Big new development in the Ohio Republican primary race for that open Senate seat after Rob Portman announced his retirement. Let's put this up there on the screen, which is that a super PAC, which is supporting J.D. Vance, just got a $10 million donation from billionaire Peter Thiel, who was actually J.D. Vance's first employer. Really interesting development there if J.D. does decide to run for Senate, Krystal, because it really is a crazy dynamic. You've got Jane Timken. She's the former chair of the Ohio Republican Party. Apparently, Trump was all set to endorse her. So she had told people, it was in the Washington Post, he was ready to go. It never came out. Nobody really knows why. She recently has supported changing the name of a lake in Ohio to the Donald J. Trump State Lake. So she's given him as many tongue baths as she possibly can. On the other side, Josh Mandel. Mandel was a true con, Tea Party warrior, 2012, lost against Sherrod Brown. Then he was about to run in 2018 and then mysteriously dropped out under very strange circumstances, which from my own reporting can tell you pissed a lot of people off here in Washington. And now you've got JD, possibly, I think he's probably going to run, let's be honest. I don't think these types of things happen. So the primary itself, I think, is going to be a real slog. It's going to be both a test of Trump loyalism because Josh Mandel is willing to go out there, full Dominion, stop the steal. I'm very interested to see how JD is going to handle that. It'll also be, I think, an actual test of policy and whether it really resonates because JD, look, cards on the table. I've known him for a long time. He's like a personal friend, so don't expect this to be an unbiased segment. That being said, I do think he would be the best person in this race. If you're looking at it from a policy perspective, he's going to have to fight up against Josh Mandel, who I do believe is a craven and cringeworthy person who will say anything he possibly can in order to get elected. So it's a true battle of what actually matters to voters in this deep red Trump state of 8 points in the 2020 election, and I'm fascinated to see how it plays out.
I used to live in Ohio. It's another one of the states that I used to live in.
You lived everywhere.
I know the politics. I know decently well. I don't go as deep in Ohio politics as I do, say, Kentucky or Virginia. But it's one of these states that has used to be obviously a swing state, but certain areas in particular have just taken a hard swing to the right. So where I used to live is a town called East Liverpool, which was one of these areas that was real, bastion of the labor movement and very sort of populist democratic, and then the Tea Party wave, everything shifted to the right, and now, culturally it's a strong Trump area, strong Republican area, and a lot of Ohio has moved in that direction. I'm curious, how would you, and for people who maybe don't know, J.D. Vance, of course, author of Hillbilly Elegy, who really rose to national prominence for his depiction of his upbringing in Ohio and in Appalachia. How would you characterize his politics and his policy views, because you probably know more about that than I do?
Yeah, I think he's actually one of these people who deeply was shook both by upbringing, but the rise of Trump, and then post-Trump did a lot of thinking about, okay, what does the Republican Party need to be? He's very much, somebody, we've had people on Orrin Cass, others, who's directionally aligned with, if not outright aligned with in terms of his policy. So somebody who would very much support, child tax credits, some of the many policies that I've put forward here. I'm actually would be curious to ask him about unions and minimum wage next time that we do speak. But in general, this is somebody who is deeply skeptical of neoliberals, is deeply skeptical of, people on the right who are deficit hawks and others. He's outright attacked them many times and is, traditionally and personally pretty socially conservative. So I think he aligns pretty well with the state of Ohio. It's going to have some different threads different needles that he's going to have to thread. Trump is going to be one of them. Unions is also going to be one.
Stop the steal is going to be the biggest thing.
Stop the steal, I think, is probably going to be the biggest thing that he's going to have to wrap his arms around. That being said, the media does hate him, and I think that helps, which is that you got to be hated by the media. They always attack him as some white nationalist or something because he cares about fertility rates. The Washington Post literally said that about him. So I think that if I were him, I would keep talking about that in order to get the media to hate me, because I do think that is probably the top thing that would help him in a Republican primary. So he's got a lot of needles that he's going to have to thread. It's going to be a very interesting test case for people with my politics in an actual GOP primary to say, hey, is this all bullshit, or are voters actually going to respond to it? Because Ohio's a weird state. I mean, John Kasich won the primary there in 2016. He was elected governor. I mean, they have Sherrod Brown. So there are little like strains of everything really there for everybody. And then Trump also changed the state politics forever. So I truly have no idea how this is going to work.
And then I guess the other big wild card is if Trump does decide ultimately to wade in, that'll be a significant factor. On the Democratic side, it looks to my chagrin like they're clearing the field for Tim Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Who's, a member of Congress representing Youngstown. He is rumored, Ohio is probably going to lose a congressional seat in the next redistricting, and they're looking at basically like screwing him over in that redistricting. So he kind of has to do something. Hillary Clinton endorsed him, which is, thanks so much. I'm sure that's a great boon to him in the state of Ohio. But it looks like they're kind of clearing the field for him. There were a few other people who had talked about running. Amy Acton, who was the director of the Ohio Department of Health, who became sort of a mini local star during the beginning stages of the coronavirus pandemic, has also talked about it. I don't think that she's totally ruled it out, but that looks like who Democrats are going with. So I have a feeling Republicans are going to be holding on to the seat.
I think Republicans, well, look, I mean, if Tim Ryan were going up against a John Kasich, or if he was going up against a true conservative, I mean, even somebody like Josh Mandel, I actually think he'd have a better shot. If he's going up against JD, I think you
need someone who's look. Sherrod Brown is an exceptional politician.
Right, exactly.
He's skilled. He connects with people. He's an exceptional politician, being able to win that state. You need an exceptional personality and politician with really broad name recognition on the Democratic side to be able to win that state at this point. Tim Ryan ain't it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
We have another great week planned for you all next week. We've got author Alex McGillis discussing his new book, Fulfillment, Winning and Losing in One-Click America.
I'm really excited for that book. Plus, all of our great friends are going to be back to join us. Brianna Joy Gray, David Sirota, Ryan Grimm, and more. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. And we will see you all later.
Enjoy the weekend, guys.